Hello audience, it's Mahfouz Mishu. Welcome you to this very special show, and I have with me Afrin Akhtar. She is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for South and Central Asia from US State Department. And Madam, most welcome to our show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here again in Dhaka. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. This is your first official visit after 7th January election in Bangladesh. What message basically you are carrying for Bangladeshi government?
So again, thank you for having me. That's correct. I, along with colleagues from the National Security Council and the U.S. Agency for International Development, we're here in Bangladesh today meeting with a variety of stakeholders. We had several meetings with the government, but we also met with civil society, with political opposition, with labor activists. With the Bangladeshi government, our message was that we want to work on our shared priorities and interests. So we talked about building economic growth in Bangladesh, which includes improving the labor environment. We talked about ways we can support Bangladesh fight climate change, and that includes both adapting to climate change, but also mitigation measures, so how we can support renewable energy in Bangladesh. We talked about building defense and security cooperation. So Bangladesh is a global leader in peacekeeping issues. Thanks in part to US assistance, we provide substantial peacekeeping assistance to Bangladesh. But we also want to work with Bangladesh in building out its maritime security and maritime domain awareness, so that was also a part of our discussion. And then finally, with the government and with other stakeholders, we talked about the importance of preserving civic space, so space for civil society to operate freely in Bangladesh. So those were the key priorities that we discussed, and those were the messages that we carried.
Thank you. If you allow, what was the major issues during your discussion with the BNP leaders? The top BNP leaders you met yesterday?
You know, we in the United States government meet with opposition everywhere all around the world, and that Bangladesh is no different than anywhere else in the world. So we just make a point of, you know, within any country to meet with political opposition, and so that was what we did with the BNP.
You already said you three top officials at the same time visiting Dhaka. Normally it not happened earlier. So why this visit is so important?
Actually, there are a number of visits where we've had multiple high-level officials visit Dhaka at the same time. For instance, last year, I believe, Under Secretary Zaya and Assistant Secretary Liu visited at the same time. So this was a confluence of scheduling, but I think, you know, the message that we wanted to carry is that we want to work with Bangladesh on our shared priorities of economic growth, of climate change, of defense and security cooperation. We also focused on Rohingya refugees and supporting Rohingya refugees, and then again, preserving civic space.
Okay, and Afrin, my next question would be, what are the priorities right now between Bangladesh and US relation?
So I'll start with Rohingya refugees. That is something that we care very much about. We commend Bangladesh for its generosity in hosting over 1 million refugees. Cox's Bazar is the largest refugee camp in the world, and Bangladesh has shown incredible generosity in hosting those refugees. We in the United States have been by far the largest donor to the Rohingya refugee crisis. We've provided over $2 billion to date, and we want to continue providing humanitarian support, but also looking at other means to ensure a sustainable solution to the Rohingya refugee crisis. So that was number one. On economic growth, you know, the U.S. is one of the largest foreign direct investors in Bangladesh. We're also the largest export market for Bangladesh. So there are tremendous opportunities to continue to build economic growth between our two countries, particularly if we address some regulatory barriers, such as challenges that companies have repatriating profits, etc. We also talked about improving the labor environment. So President Biden has issued a global labor strategy, which is focused on supporting workers' rights worldwide. So in Bangladesh, as in everywhere around the world, we are focused on advancing labor. We talked about defense and security cooperation. I got into that a bit earlier. I don't need to repeat myself, but again, that's the host of issues that we discussed.
Regarding Rohingya crisis, I just want to know, you know, the allocation from our friendly countries are decreasing. I mean, for joint response plan is decreasing, and it has become a burden for Bangladesh government. Will US will continue their effort to stand beside Bangladesh, especially in monetary help?
Absolutely, we are absolutely committed to supporting Bangladesh and supporting the Rohingya refugees in addressing this crisis. It's true that with crises all over the world, you know, we have to make trade-offs in where funding goes, but we're working closely with multilateral development banks and other actors to help fill some of those funding needs.
So what will be your take, Dr. Afrin, regarding the Myanmar current situation? And you know Bangladesh is an innocent victim, and our people are suffering for this recent Myanmar crisis.
The recent crisis in Myanmar, is a part of course, a longer history of genocide in Myanmar. So the Secretary determined in 2022, I believe, that the Burmese military conducted acts of genocide against the Rohingya. And it is really unfortunate that conditions continue to not allow for a safe, dignified, and voluntary return of Rohingya refugees. That said, we are committed to supporting the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. We are committed to providing them with humanitarian assistance and enabling the government of Bangladesh to continue with its generosity in hosting these refugee communities. The United States government, is committed to supporting security in the Indo-Pacific region broadly. We're obviously very concerned about what's happening on Bangladesh's border with Myanmar. I know that the Secretary of State and his team are working to support dialogue and other measures to ease that crisis. It's really unfortunate. In Bangladesh, we are very focused on the impacts to the Rohingya refugee community, and we want to make sure that we're providing the Rohingya refugee community and the Bangladeshi government with the support that it needs to protect these most vulnerable populations that have been the subject of genocide by the Burmese military.
Indo-Pacific strategy is a big thing for USA and some other Western countries. Why and how Bangladesh is so important to implement these Indo-Pacific strategies?
So Bangladesh is a key Indo-Pacific partner, as are many of the other countries in South Asia. We are very heartened to see Bangladesh's Indo-Pacific outlook, which we actually think aligns very closely with our Indo-Pacific strategy in a number of key ways, economic growth and development being one of them. So we see a lot of synergy there, including on climate, on other issues, and we look forward to building a region that is secure, prosperous, free, and open together with the Bangladeshi government and Bangladeshi people.
So do you think Bangladesh is on right track regarding Indo-Pacific strategy, or what's your evaluation regarding Bangladesh stand on Indo-Pacific strategy?
Again, I think that the Bangladesh's Indo-Pacific outlook really aligns closely with everything that we're trying to do under the Indo-Pacific strategy. There's no joining the Indo-Pacific strategy. It's a U.S. Issued strategy, but the goal of the Indo-Pacific strategy is to develop a region that is free, open, prosperous, and secure. And we see a lot of that reflected in the Indo-Pacific outlook. So again, there are just a lot of opportunities for our countries to work together to build a free, open, and secure region.
Yeah, I have so many questions, but now it's time to take a break. Okay. We are coming back after a short break. Hello audience, we just take a break for a few minutes and we'll come back soon with Deputy Assistant Secretary Afrin Akhtar. Please stay with us. Hello audience, welcome back and thank you for joining us. I am talking with Deputy Assistant Secretary of US State Department, Afrin Akhtar. Madam Afrin, my question is now about, is USA really serious about the oil and gas exploration in the deep sea in Bangladesh, Bay of Bengal?
So I think, as I had mentioned before, we are focused on supporting economic growth and development in Bangladesh. We are one of the largest sources of foreign direct investment in Bangladesh, and predominantly that's actually in the energy sector in Bangladesh. I think US companies are interested in exploring energy options in Bangladesh, and that includes offshore. But I also want to underscore that we in the United States are really focused on renewable energy development in Bangladesh. It's supporting Bangladesh's renewable energy transition. So through USAID, through other programs, we're looking at how we can support solar in Bangladesh, offshore wind, etc., so that Bangladesh has sustainable energy security over the longer term.
Yeah, and then my next question would be about labor rights. How do you evaluate the labor rights situation here in Bangladesh? And labor rights is very important for US government as well as for the Bangladesh garment industry and other import-oriented industry.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, President Biden issued the Global Labor Strategy earlier this year, which is again a global strategy focused on workers' rights worldwide. And so that is something that we are prioritizing everywhere in the world, including in Bangladesh. I met with labor organizers yesterday alongside my USAID colleague, and we heard about some of the challenges that they face operating in Bangladesh. And so we hope to work with the Bangladeshi government, the labor community, and companies to address some of those issues, which include barriers to union registration, reforms required to legislation such as the Bangladesh Labor Act, uniformity of freedom of association in export processing zones, and other similar measures. Bangladesh does not need to be worried about the global labor strategy. The global labor strategy is an initiative by President Biden to support workers' rights globally, everywhere. And we're doing that through a variety of tools, including our assistance. So we have programs here in Bangladesh to support labor activists, labor organizers, to support workers in organizing and union registration and all sorts of activities. So really the goal of the global labor strategy in Bangladesh and elsewhere is to support workers' rights.
Dasafrin, can you please share your thought about free press and independent civil society here in Bangladesh? You have meeting with them.
Yes, I met with civil society. It was a very good meeting. I've met with civil society in every single instance I've come to Bangladesh. And you know, we in the United States believe every country benefits from a robust civil society and a robust free media environment. We believe that when people are given the opportunity to express their concerns and their voices, it creates societies that are freer, more open, more democratic, and ultimately more prosperous and secure. So that is something that we are supporting very actively here in Bangladesh through our USAID programming and other programming, and we also support it worldwide.
Okay. Any assurance you get from the meeting with Bangladesh officials about Boeing purchase from USA? This is a big discussion going on.
You know, I think you know that Biman Airlines is largely Boeing, and we believe that Boeing is a very strong contender for Biman moving forward. We think it will be a cost savings in terms of maintenance and spare parts. So we think that they are the best offer out there, and we hope the Bangladeshi government considers it seriously.
What are the major challenges US investors facing here in Bangladesh regarding FDI, or what's your take on FDI and investment climate here in Bangladesh?
You know, Bangladesh is an emerging market. I think US businesses are very interested in operating here. Again, I think that we have a lot of investment already in the energy sector. You have US brands operating in the ready-made garment sector. I think there is always going to be more interest in engaging in this emerging market, but I think that key issues regarding regulatory hurdles such as repatriation of profits, etc., will need to be addressed to truly attract more US investment in Bangladesh. So we see the opportunity there. Ultimately, US businesses will make a determination based on the trade-offs that they see, but we think addressing some of these key regulatory barriers will help bring in even more US investment in Bangladesh.
Have you shared your observation with the policymakers here in Bangladesh?
Yes, we have, yeah.
Okay. Then what are the major areas of defense cooperation, and would you like to increase it more?
Yes, so as I mentioned, one of our key priorities moving forward is building out security and defense cooperation. The United States has provided over $100 million in foreign military financing, which is a form of security assistance to Bangladesh to date. We support Bangladesh's peacekeeping operations worldwide, and we are looking to continue to build that relationship with Bangladesh over the years to come. We need to conclude a GSOMIA agreement, which basically is a secure communications agreement, and we believe concluding that agreement with Bangladesh will really enable our defense cooperation to go to the next level. Beyond that, you know, the United States and Bangladesh engage in military exchanges and training, so we bring Bangladeshi military personnel over to the United States to train in our defense academies. We have Bangladeshi personnel in West Point right now, for instance. And we also do military exercises. So I think our Air Force is currently exercising with the Bangladeshi Air Force right now on issues like humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and those sorts of things. On the Jasomia, I think both the United States and Bangladesh are committed to concluding this agreement. We have to work through our processes. Both sides have processes that we have to undertake to do so, but I think we're both committed to concluding it. And again, the goal with that or any other agreement is to deepen our security partnership, which is already quite strong with Bangladesh.
In every relationship, there are some challenges. What are the basic challenges between the relationship between Dhaka and Washington?
So I think, we have shared priorities, and what we really want to do here moving forward is focus on those shared priorities and make sure that we implement them in a way that advances Bangladesh's prosperity, security, stability, freedom, and openness. So again, we are working together on economic growth, but we have to address labor issues to really maximize the potential. We're working together on security and defense cooperation, and if we conclude a few more agreements, we can really broaden that partnership. We're working together on the Rohingya crisis, and providing support to Bangladesh to ensure that the Rohingya communities are supported here and that we can continue to do so. And then we're working on building civil society and strengthening the civic space in Bangladesh, and that includes working directly with organizations here to create a democratic environment that is strong and that will sustain a free and open country into the future.
Okay, my last question would be, what is your expectation from Bangladesh government on the issues of 2 US ambassadors have been harassed during their tenure here in Bangladesh?
Obviously, in the United States government, the safety and security of our personnel is of the utmost importance, and it will continue to be of the utmost importance. We've made that very clear to the Bangladeshi government, and we believe that they've heard us on this. So, it will continue to be our foremost priority, protecting our personnel.
And definitely have discussed it with the Bangladeshi officials this
Yes,
time.
we've made it very clear that this is our first priority.
Thank you, Das Afrin Akhtar, for your valuable time, and best of luck for you. Dear audience, it was the discussion. Hope we will meet with next guest and we'll come back to you soon. Thank you for being with us.